desk. I felt like the pivot with Zeri mid is very, very clever because you create a lot of space in teamfights. You already have the Gangplank to do this for you. Now you've got the Zillion bombs, the zoomies coming in from the Zillion as well. With the volley base, it's going to be so fun to watch. Like that on the volley, just sprinting it everywhere on the Rift. Whilst on the other side, I think it's a more standard engage/disengage comp with a really strong hyper carry for later on fights. Now, of course, when you do have a... Of
course, I've got to keep my eyes. Of course, Kerberos has been an interesting player, played a lot of very unusual jumps between the Darius, the Kayle, though, of course, Kayle becoming a little bit more matter around the world. We've seen now the Mundo as well. I will be interested to see how this works out. I think Nymera on the desk was right to say, look, some of these flexes have now made the Mundo's life pretty difficult, actually, in terms of securing good options to hit an attack.
About it, right? He tries to walk into a team fight, Zillion presses E, he's slowed for long. He cannot move, he cannot get in. Meanwhile, you're getting both hit by Zeri and Twitch at the same time, getting zoned by Barrows, getting zoned by the Cannon Barrage from Gangplank. Now, my biggest concern right here is not whether Mundo will find his way into the fight or not. I'm looking specifically at Stand and Linkers to find these very key engages on JDXL because yes, Mundo can get kited, but if Venza or MNS are dead, there's only one Zillion ultimate to go. And there's 3 squishes on the side of JDXL. So that hard engage with the Wukong, potentially Super Mega Death Rocket by Jinx as well, together with Rakan ult, can melt someone down, right?
Jinx Corki with 2 engages plus a Mundo frontline. That sounds like a wonderful team fight. Exactly. You get Corki and Jinx at 3 items, it all looks great. You've got to get there, though, and of course, on the other side, Zeri and Twitch both know to score incredibly well. You've got a GP plus that Zillion. There we go, remember that champion eventually, to try and punish that one a little bit more. And bit of a look in here as well. Just as a reminder, this is not actually the first time MNS has played Zeri in the mid. He played it once in spring as well, got a 14.0 KDA and smashed the game. So
classic.
We've known that he's got a pretty interesting champion pool read Ocean. That's a decent trade on the bot side onto Venza, being punished on the Twitch for the early laning weaknesses of the Twitch, but just a heads up, this is not the first time JDXL have pulled some stuff like this before.
Absolutely, and there's also the fact that Jinx was traditionally picked, especially in spring, because she has the perma-shoving lane, right? She has these rockets on her kit to be able to shove in the lane over and over and over again. And mind you, while FTG onto the Zillion has the bombs, Rakan also has shields, he's got a lot of sustain and healing through his Q as well. So there are ways you can mitigate any damage thrown your way from JDXL, whilst Dusty has the perma-push towards the bottom side of the map. Now, saying this, my biggest concern has been for JDXL, the bot lane, right? Because, yes, even though we're joking about Venza obviously dying level 3, he's died in some of his own dives where he's pulling the trigger, and that's actually pretty good for him to try and go the extra mile, right? Even if you die, you kind of learn for him. What is a little bit unforgiving is when they actually die to ganks. Now, talking about ganks, that is...
dying to them, yes. Got to see a bit of a stun in here. Does get them afterwards. Into the Ultra Shock Laser, Backland take it down, and Dan gets out alive. This mid-jungle from XL is incredibly lethal. But overcomes Link, as will find his way onto MNS. Was invisible with the Warrior Trickster, but we able to get over the wall with the Flash. Gonna get stunned in place well by the Thundering Smash. Can MNS get far enough away? I don't think it'll matter because there is the hop forwards. Bot side, Venza goes down, and Dusty punish XL.
Oh no, it's suddenly gone so south. Linkers is right where he needs to be at the right time. Then Vox is being chased, but Linkers is coming bot too.
Walk down, flashes in, then Voxnay goes as well, and it's a 2-2 game.
Okay, and Kerberos doing Kerberos things with the, I was about to say Scion, but it's not a Scion. This is a Dr. Mundo on the top side of the map. So far, we've seen that, never mind.
No, not anymore. Come on, leave it alone. Cool. Trouble, you're safe.
Allied?
Yeah, you've got like 10 seconds.
Okay, perfect. So, in this particular meta, we are really missing the tower dives. And Dan brings it back into life in the mid lane whilst this is going on in the bot lane. This is the infamous level 3 Venza death in the bot lane. Whether there's a jungle gank or whether it's a 2v2, the sentiment is the same. Venza dies. He's kind of like Humanoid from previous splits, you know, in the LEC. So,
and Humanoid dies, yes.
Yeah, and Humanoid dies, yeah. But, well, Humanoid was always getting something for his deaths, right? I think Venza right there got his support in a lot of trouble, trying to freeze the wave and then getting punished himself. So, yet again, 2 opportunities for the sort of JDXL. Dan has been the one to start them up. On the other side, Linkas was the recipient of that overstep, overdive in the mid lane.
That's going to be a lot of Den Voxnay problems into the Flame Chompers, though, there from Dan, who thought he might want to get around the back and actually just solve the Thundering Smash. And that means Den Voxnay with no flash, no heal, and no hope goes down to Venza.
Really good stuff right there. We've been 5 minutes in, we've looked for proactivity out of the two most active junglers in the game, and honestly, I'd say when it comes to activity, Volibear must be S++ in that regard. And honestly, 5 minutes in, 3 ganks, 1 tower dive, this Volibear seems to be working, but Volibear is mainly picked for this early game proactivity to kind of try and snowball into the later stages of the game, whilst Wukong scales really well later on, can always provide that very easy engage / disengage with his Cyclone as well. So I'd love to see Linkas speedrunning that level 6, which he's doing right now. He saw down ganking bot lane again, he invaded his top side of the map, he stole away his buff, and now he's moving back into his 2 quadrants of the jungle where he has red buff spawning really soon. Wraiths are back up. Speedrunning that level 6, making sure you have the CC so you can create opportunities in your lanes.
Yeah, makes Dan's life a little bit difficult there. Leaves down that control ward as well in the blue side jungle to continue to track the Volibear, who, as you said, has made the most of that early proactive power. And Dan will find Stend just wandering through the river. And actually, he needs to be a little afraid here because Dan's just forcing him further and further away from this river and the control ward that is in there. Instead, may now look back towards Den Voxnay, who's already 0-2 and is in such a bad position if Dan decides to go for this. No flash.
He's up in literally 1 second.
Yeah,
and
he's
Voxnay,
very smart Flame Chompers.
All right, but
very
the
smart Flame
thing is,
Chompers.
Linkas is 43 CS, he's already 10 CS up. Dan is going to go for yet another one.
The slow from the Venom cast means Den Voxnay's got nowhere to go. Cannon barrage to make sure there is really no way out. And that is a 3rd death on the Jinx. Yeah, you're down 10 CS, but who cares when the Jinx is just dead to rights again?
And the most important thing is that before this Mundo, before these Wukong are even active and tanky on the map, Venza is so close to his Blade of the Ruin King, and that's such a huge spike for the Rat. So then Voxnay, we know he has this huge hypercarry later on in the game. JDXL have done a fantastic job at shutting him down and delaying his item power spikes right off the get-go. And honestly, Dusty, I think are just looking for these 5-5s later on when you have Buckland's package coming out, when you've got Linkas level 6, he is right now. And honestly, it feels like Dan is sort of trading levels, experience and gold to try and get his laners ahead. So now it falls onto Venza's shoulders to try and carry these through, because Linkas is sitting 1 whole level up.
He is indeed, and you can see Dan's actually up in gold because he's been involved in every single kill so far in the game. That's definitely kept him up there in terms of at least that metric. But you're right, it's hurt the XP, it's hurt the CS. Of course, Volibear not that far behind in terms of the experience. We should be able to get 6 probably off this next clear or so. And we've got ourselves a dragon and a herald that have spawned.
Exactly.
And I'm seeing a great smile on your face. I was just wondering.
I'm looking at the herald, I'm like, so herald spawned, but wait, dragon hasn't gone down. And usually teams love to group up as 5 and try to fight to stack dragons or stack rift heralds. I'm assuming right now, because JDXL have more of a snowbally composition, they will gravitate towards that rift herald, towards the top side of the map. You see that FG has already started roaming. Dusty knows this as well, so Linkas is going to trade that rift herald for the dragon, starting to stack them up. But Dusty, I think this is the best thing you could do when you've got the better team fighting composition later on, in theory and textbook always, right? The front to back, the 2 hyper carries, AP and AD. You usually just want to start stacking these dragons just so the other team doesn't take them away from you and forces you to fight when you don't want to.
Quick call out here as well. M&S has gone for the Manamune, that's what it transforms into, the Muramana. The Manamune build first here on the Zeri, which I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on that, and as that as a kind of potential build path for the Zeri when we've generally been seeing a little bit more of a crit option for her in more recent patches.
I was about to say, so the thing with Zeri is that they swapped onto the crit because her W has huge range through the walls and also crits a lot, right? So something like a shield bow into Infinity Edge does so much damage usually in the team fights. Now, of course, Emin is right here opting in for the Manamune. A lot of the times when you see carries going for the Manamune, they depend a lot on their auto attack. So this might be a way where Eminence is targeting Wukong, is targeting Mundo later on into these fights.
There you go. I appreciate the input there and the decision making, and it makes a lot of sense.
I'm not necessarily sure why the Manamune is built. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it does help later on when it has transformed and you put in that extra damage.
Of course, does do a lot of work with those on hits then as well. As Backland, Linkers, and Stend are all in the river, maybe looking to try and get onto M&S, but of course, with Flash and Lightning Rush available, pretty hard to lock down.
Oh my god!
And Ultra Shock Laser, even with only an untransformed Muramana, doing unspeakable amounts of damage.
Nerf Katarina though.
Well,
it's my
she's not in the game, she only got hobbled. You need to let this go, your bitterness is affecting your job.
I just had to throw this out there, man. I just had to throw this out. I've seen this monstrosity mid lane. Okay, fine, fair enough.
I mean, I will also say this is JDXL who would...
Zeri wins.
Let it go. This is also XL, who are notorious for having answers into Corki mid lane. They had the Kaiser last split where they did... Again, get those solo kills on the dives.
It was M&S into slow queue back then versus Riddle and solo killed him level 200.
Level 2 with the Flash Ignite with the W. It was disgusting.
Also, M&S is very notoriously known for playing AD carries in the mid lane. He played the Aphelios, he played the Zeri, he also played the Kai'Sa, as we mentioned as well. So, yeah, XL are getting so much flexibility straight off the draft, right? Now,
yes.
Coming back onto the map, if we look all across the board, everything is pretty much even. Dan has caught up, which was the only level discrepancy that we would see on the map. And bot lane for JDXL has a bunch of priority, right? Which means it's really easy to sort of bleed that pressure onto the bot side of the map. They're trying to catch Venser right here. I don't know if you really want to dive into level 6 and level 7 Rakan Wukong, because that might turn south really quickly. But nevertheless, XL are putting down the pressure onto the map right off the early game. They're 1,000 gold in the lead, but here comes the question, right? How much can you snowball the lead when there is no objective on the map? And at this point, I feel like the Voxne has learned from his mistakes and overextended in that lane, right?
Is it too late, though?
Tower. Look at him. Now that he doesn't have a support with him, he's literally waiting underneath that tower, making sure he saves his summoners, and he also saves his life. You do not want to be given any more gold into this rat, but already has Blade of the Rune King.
Quick one to point out, there's still a Herald in Dan's inventory, and they do want to try and get the plates on there somewhere. Need to see where he decides to go. Not that much time remaining on the Herald, so I do want to see that used relatively soon. A minute and a half until the Dragon, so it might be a bit difficult to line that one up. And
I think
the
reason the transitioning the rat towards the mid side of the map is potentially to try and maybe get a pick onto the Corki, or even shove in the wave with 4 members. And until Dusty responds to that, you would have cashed in on 3 tower platings, right? There we go. Dan is going to pop in the Rift Herald. It was expiring already.
Stand.
They've got Venser right there. Oh, hello.
Just comes out, gets the Blade of the Rune King active on there as well. In comes the charge of the Herald. 4 plates secured. That's a Super Mega Death Rocket that doesn't really amount to all that much. Zap goes wide as well, and that's the mid lane tower that is left with very little HP indeed. Minute or so until this Dragon, and plates were nicely secured by XL.
If that was put down there right at this time, because you get so many tower platings and so much gold, right as you mentioned, right before that Dragon spawns. The only one, the bot lane has already backed, because they want to make sure they're back in the bot lane before the wave is pushed. But M&S has not backed it. He's going to back probably now, just to make sure that he is at that fight if JDXL want to pull the trigger right on time. Look in the top lane, Cries, ultimate up and available, teleport not. Kerberos, no teleport up and available, which means that if Kerberos wants to be part of this fight, he's gonna have to teleport.
Just check Zeri's inventory for me. Yeah, that's right.
Is that Kai'Sa?
Yeah, there was a genuine spit take there from Trouble. That is AP Zeri.
Have we made a mistake with the champion? Is this Kai'Sa? That's all I'm gonna ask.
It's a W as well. It's the W AP scale. I mean, in fairness, they are very short on AP damage, especially with Twitch going the AD route. So I see the decision making. I don't know how good AP is.
Twitch to go AP?
True. Either way, M&S has decided that's the way. And we've got a Mundo roaming down. He does go where he pleases, and he's pleasing to go down towards this fight. Dragon secured, though, and ow, that Ultra Shock Laser hurts.
Yeah, and as you can see, I feel like Dust are doing exactly what they need to. They're not falling massively behind. It's just 1,500 gold deficit right here. Sorry, 2,000 gold deficit for them right now, but they do have the insurance of Jinx in the late game, the insurance of Corki in the late game. They've got the 2 hyper carries ready and available, as well as a bunch of engage and disengage with the Wukong and the Rakan. Mundo can do and go wherever he pleases within all these metrics as well. But they've managed to get themselves 2 dragons, and that is their win condition. This is going to be an Ocean Soul on the map. So having 2 tanks, having a Mundo with an Ocean Soul is going to be huge.
Oh, infected clones.
Struggle to kill him.
Yeah, infected bones would have procced as well.
Zeri does really well into Mundo, but then you will only have Twitch hurting Mundo with the Blade of the Ruin.
You know what my healing really likes? More healing.
That is generally the truth, and all anti-healing has been nerfed on this.
Also true. Also true. Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. This mid lane turret, though, about to fall, will be the first turret of the game. Goes straight down there, and M&S is the one to secure it. Bot side, now come the rest of JDXL. Linkas around the corner, though, might be ready and willing to...
Hi.
That was actually surprisingly good.
Thank you.
I was impressed with that. I was hiding.
I was hiding.
Two of us. I think if we end up in the Twitch impressions part of the cast, it's probably time to bring up a bit of a new hashtag NLC Pets.
Talking about mice.
Indeed, speaking of Tom, instead of the Jerry this time, that is a very cute cat. Oh, my days in the mid lane. Apparently, this wasn't a great time, as my days, Backland did not enjoy that amount of damage.
Yeah, but like, Backland's fine, because all he did was W away. He managed to clear his wave. He's not going to miss any CS or experience. And M&S had to blow both his ultimate and his flash. That means now he is susceptible to getting ganked in the middle. Look at Linkas was right there.
Was definitely thinking about it either way. Maybe a little bit too overeager to continue to add to that impressive solo kill count. Either way, on to the Herald, Ardan, and M&S.
I do not know right now if actually Excel can fight this, because Backland is going to be TPing very soon. He's going to pick up the package, which I'm assuming is in base right now because he's circulating something. No, actually, that's just going to let this one go, as it seems like. Oh, Venza.
He's hunting for something. Demvox needs to be a bit afraid here. He was indeed high, and he's going to want that back charm afterwards. So onto the flame jumpers, puts Venza into a very difficult position. But he has got the chrono shift on top of him. Damn, popped the ultimate as well. And honestly, JDXL don't get anything, and they heal afterwards in a panic response
and if
to
you
the
look at the
Death
top
Rocket.
lane, Kryze just used his flash
Yes.
to get away from Kerberos. So all in all, if you ask me, I feel like Duster in a pretty good position. Kerberos, if he wants to, can potentially pull the trigger for a dive. Instead, he's just going to focus that tower. But Kryze, right now, yes, he's about 12 CS ahead, but he seems to be struggling. Losing your flash versus a Mundo is like very important, because you can get dived. Later on, when you join the fight, you can be the target for Linkas. And right now, looking at the map, both M&S and Kryze are missing their flashes. There is a roaming Rakan on the map. There's a roaming Linkas onto the Wukong on the map. And you're going to start respecting these two champions.
Indeed, a series of unforced errors, bluntly. Mistakes there on the attempted little Twitch play didn't work out. M&S burnt the flash in the ultimate, trying to get the pick in the mid lane. Now we've seen Kryze burn that flash, as Trouble was saying. And yes, JDXL still, honestly, with a bit of a gold lead, feeling okay in this game. But you make more of those mistakes, and things get tricky if Corki and Jinx get to a point where they get to team fight.
Absolutely. I think this is the same sentiment like Astralis had, where the front to back looks really, really good. And especially because this Zeri is more of an AP Zeri, so the consistent damage is not necessarily gonna come through. It's more of the burst that you have with the Luden's Echo, with the AP items. We might see an Excel sort of struggling to use that kiting technique that we talked about, that the guys on the desk also talked about. And I feel like unless you make more plays on the map, unless you snowball your lead even further than the 3,000 gold that we see right now, suddenly this Jinx will reach 3 items, and it's going to be so difficult to just face check.
Oh, yes, indeed. Soul point fight on the table. What can JDXL do to try and control this? As Venza presses Q and walks out of danger with the camouflage active. Herald number 2 summoned in the bot side with M&S there to try and force that in. Dusty, though, have full command of the river.
I just want to point out on that HP bar from Kerberos, 3 levels up on Dan, 5 levels up on FGG. This cleavers her. That did about 20% of Dan's HP. And mind you, that Volibear is the tank for JDXL. If they cannot walk into this river, how can they contest? Kryze is coming from the other side. He's trying to
oh my God, Voxney! He's wishing he was back on Tricked. It's an absolute disaster. 1-for-1, though, as Backlund does manage to secure Dan's life afterwards. Over the wall goes M&S, though, continuing to try and make even more out of this AP Zeri build. The Luden's echo is echoing around, and it sounds like thunder. Venza gets the killing spree as a result of Kerberos going down. And never mind your jungler being dead, I think AP Zeri might be okay, Trouble.
What is this? What is this? M&S is completely
there's so many words.
To like what? 5%? Then Voxney with 1 W off of the wall, giving the goal back to Dan to go and finish it. Cries coming in with that Trinity Force as well, started hurting so much. And JDXL find the fight that they wanted prior to 20 minutes. They will secure the first dragon as well. And as we see this again, look at that disgusting W from Zeri. 70% of his HP. That was 70% of his HP. And even though Dan dies for this, Dusty lose their AD carry, then Voxney goes down, then Cry starts chasing Kerberos onto that Wukong because he also has Venza and FTG on his back. And from there on out, for this JDXL, having the Zillion, having the speed-ups and the zoomies is just so easy to sort of chase Dusty away from the objective, and then you can secure it even without Smite.
And it's been a tough game for Dan Voxney. He has honestly been having a pretty good split here in the NLC. On his return, right? Like the last time we saw him here was him doing pretty extraordinary things as that Ultra Shock Laser does go wide.
Every time that W goes up through the wall, we're going to be like,
trying to do a bit of a historical narrative, talk about Dan Voxney, and instead M&S is trying to make me instead eat my heart. Good grief. It's a bit of a horror story on the Rift when that ability comes out as Linkas. Maybe looking for Dan instead. Enough narrative building. Dan's going to have to pop the op. It's actually being left out to dry. I don't think he's got anywhere to go, but we'll have a chrono shift available to him. Maybe necessary. Sten turned around on, though. Now Venza in trouble for popping up so much goddamn damage. Resurrecting with the G and FGG left out to dry. Backlund is in the back of his M&S. Over the wall. Trying to do what they can. Burst fire active alongside the lightning crash. Then Voxley down about half HP. But actually Dusty are the ones that come out on top in that one. It is a 2-for-2. But there were some big gold kills that came over in favor of Dusty.
Absolutely. You shut down Dan. You shut down Venza as well. Cries is onto Kerberos as well, but the Voxney is still
afterwards,
there.
Then that means M&S flashing over the lightning crash. AP scaling into Hammer of God. Thor strikes hard in the mid lane.
This looked like a Blitzcrank full HP with Luden's death cap just flashing forward, ulting. Oh my god, M&S is putting on a show for JDXL fans out there, completely destroying any Dusty dreams for turning this fight around. And as we can see this again, Cry's a little bit overextended. Kerberos does see the opening right there. He's very big, very strong. What he doesn't see that M&S is on the side, and even though the W doesn't hit, I feel like the fact that the W doesn't hit gives Backlund and then Voxney a little bit more hope to move forward, but that ultimate absolutely destroyed.
I am not used to reading Zeri's damage like this. AP Zeri makes me kind of like have to readjust when I'm expecting moments of power.
Exactly,
exactly. Yeah. Now completed a Nash's to third.
You know what would be fun?
What?
If Zeri's W refreshes if it hits a champion.
Look, I know you're a Katarina main, and I know that that has led you to some weird thoughts of mine, but we're going to have to talk about team fights instead. Twitch gets Corky, but Wukong gets the return. M&S trying to murder them all by jumping into the back end of it, has a chrono shift and will go down and come straight back up again, courtesy of Zillion. The clock turned back, it's a 2-for-1, and the jungler critically alongside the Corky are down.
JDXL Venza pulled out a Dusty Venza, where he found himself with the assassin emblem in the back of the enemy backline.
He is playing Twitch.
He has been playing Twitch, and he has been playing probably a little bit of TFT, so he got a little bit over-eager.
Of course.
Pull the trigger. Nevertheless, it's going to be a 1-4-2. Yes, they've lost their AD carry, but they do have Gangplank to do a lot of damage onto this Baron. They have M&S onto this area as well. Volibear is pretty good at taking these objectives. There is Smite on the Volibear as well, so this is going to be Baron for JDXL in 10,000
out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. I didn't think it was that big until now recently. We're going to go into this replay, and M&S just goes wild.
Yeah, and Venza right there is trying to flank, but really good reactions. He's going to take the Corky down with him, but really good reactions by the entirety of Dusty to move forward. And as you can see, M&S goes in, completely dismantles everyone, and FTG through the wall, throwing that Zillion ultimate, allowing M&S to not die, to not give his shutdown. Dan is going to protect him as well. So far, so good, I think. When it comes to team play, you can't beat JDXL on that.
All right, Cries and Kerberos dueling out, but I'm not sure this is one they actually win. Kerb healing up, doing their best, will survive! What is this?
Kerberos, not even close. He needed support, he needed the super mega death rocket. What you need though is someone to defend these inhibitor towers and inhibitors in your base. Kerberos is not gonna base actually. He does have the teleport, but right now because there's nobody on his sides chasing him, he is gonna shove in yet another wave and now back. He needs to back, he needs to make sure he's full HP and TP into this dragon fight because this is going to be the second dragon for Excel. And yes, that's not very scary, but Dusty here could secure so point for themselves. That is so huge. Talking about something that's very huge, that is the goal difference between these two teams.
It's massive.
Now. So if we look at the carries, this is very close. Venzer is almost on his third item. The Voxney is also almost on his third item. 3.5 items onto the Zeri though versus 2 onto the Corki are going to be huge. I think keeping my eyes on Eminence right here and how he plays this fight. He doesn't have his flash available. So if Linkas does find an angle, they could very easily assassinate that Zeri.
Oh boy, M&S has been making a lot of people probably raise their eyebrows here. Another way to prove that Zeri is in fact very strong right now. Indeed.
At this point.
Indeed. Third item, now in for Venzer as well, as you called out. And of course, you've got 3 items coming in on the likes of the Gangplank. So a bit of a look behind the scenes here. We did actually have a graphic ready for Cries versus Kerberos, which we thought would be a really cool matchup and a big focal point of this game. Hasn't really. They've been playing the side lanes. Outside of that one bit of action on the other side, was there like their 3v1. That's been about it.
They're chilling.
Yeah.
They're chilling. I mean, I don't blame them. So, yet again, on the map, that's Linkas right there. He has in Cries and Eminence. Mind you, these are both level 16. Linkas is level 12.
Oh boy.
The entire team.
Eminence is being run up, but he's got a spark surge over the wall. Cries being out of, actually gets away from that knockup. I thought he was going to be going down, but he has got oranges to avoid anything like the Charmer now. Dusty have to run away as in goes Dan with the speed up from the Zillion. Eminence coming over the wall as well, just about to. Venzer comes out of the invisibility and unleashes with a rat-a-tat-tat, trying their absolute best, spraying and praying his way through the enemy health bars. But only one falls, and Dusty do get back to the base with only that single casualty.
Yeah, and you've lost your very beefy tank in front of you. There is no Wukong ultimate, there's no Rakan ultimate, nothing to engage or disengage you from. XL know this, they're going to use the numbers advantage right there to possibly take another inhibitor tower. On the other side, you see there's huge wave pushing into the base of Dusty, and XL are just going to still stay on the map and put pressure. Then Vox is trying to clear whatever he can right there with his 2.5 items, but at this point, it is yet again a 9,000 gold lead for Excel, and Dusty are praying for that one miracle team fight where Stent and Linkas will find their target. The poke and damage will come through Buckland and then Voxney, and they will delete either Venza or M&S.
M&S is very much on vision here. They've known him because of that ward there. He's still continuing to try and be as difficult as he can be. Hops the wave into the bush. My days, that's so much damage back. Charms up and about to be knocked down. That was a mistake.
That's classic Eminence though for you.
It is.
This is the Eminence that has a huge influx of gold in his pocket.
A bit of that.
But he's waiting around to 100% to zero somebody, right? Grab another solo bolo in his inventory right there. What that does, unfortunately, for a team is it slows down your tempo. Look at the huge wave that was pushing mid. There's a huge wave pushing bot. There's a wave pushing top lane. Right now, if the Eminence was on the map with his team, they would be able to have a triple push into Dusty. Dusty would not be able to push back all 3 sides at the same time, which means one of these towers or inhibitors would fall for the side of Excel. And unfortunately for them, because Eminence is dead for yet another 10 seconds, all they can do is just shove in the waves wherever they can and just wait for their AP carry at this point to come back online.
At the very least, there's no Dragon, there's no Baron on the board, and Eminence will be up well in time for that, is now alive again. So there wasn't all that much on the map for Dusty to get. So of all the times to have died, to have looked for a bit of a risky play, that is at least among the better of them.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. I'll agree with you on that one. On the other side, again, Dusty looking for that one miraculous fight. As you can see, then Voxney is almost on that Infinity Edge. A minute and 14, there's a huge wave in the mid lane. If he can secure that entire wave in the mid lane, he can get Infinity Edge, which means in a minute and a half, if they do choose to fight for this dragon, you don't have to, because it's only going to be so point for Excel if they secure that one, but you're making sure that Yo Jinx hasn't finished yet. I don't know if we can toggle gold anytime soon to see if he doesn't, unfortunately. He does not
quite. Not quite. Instead in the mid lane, Venza flashing forwards with the spray and pray, and the powers above have answered XL's prayers indeed. Mundo may go where he blazes and where he pleases. Is the grey screen, is the morgue. Dr. Mundo, Doctor, no longer a triple kill to Christ to end it all out. They'll get the inhibitor as it respawns and head on to the Nexus Towers, and XL remain undefeated here in the NLC.
Absolutely. I think if we're talking about clean victories, this is not as clean as it gets, but it's still very clean and dusty. We're trying to climb up the ladder to get closer to JDXL and hunt them over that first loss. But 8-0, man, it's